Okay. I got to thinking after the last session. You remember how I got that old Nissan Skyline came up in the classic cars thing, and I bought it for the 542 grand or whatever it was, right? And then I kept commenting that when it was up in there last time, it was only like 172 grand or something like that. But then I didn't piece together that when I went to look at my menu book after I bought that car, there was another older version of the Skyline in there that I hadn't gotten yet. So I'm wondering if maybe the 172 grand one was that other one, right? And this was the more expensive one that I hadn't seen come up yet. So I'm hoping, because the next time that Skyline I still need, the last one I need, comes up, hopefully it'll be, you know, in that lower kind of price bracket, right? So what we're going to do this time, we're going to run some sessions. I'm going to do my usual 2 tracks, get my 100 grand, hopefully my 150 grand if I can do it cleanly. And I'm just going to start saving for the $1 million Bugatti on my menu book list. I guess I'll have to save for the $3 million one as well if I want to complete it, but we'll start with the mill and then we'll go from there. I had a feeling this guy was going to be a dick. My feeling was just confirmed. I was thinking about it, but once again, no. I'm hoping that other Skyline comes up in the menu book in the near future, right? Like, because then that'll complete a menu book for me. It's not that I'm looking for the roulette ticket because it's just an engine one. Basically useless, right? It'll just be another collection completed, right? Another task accomplished, another car taken off the board and headed to my garage. But that Bugatti one, I'm not sure how seriously I'm going to take that one. Obviously, I can obtain the $1 million one pretty easily. Might take 2 or 3 sessions depending on how cleanly I can race and what I get on my roulette tickets, right? The $1 million one shouldn't be that much of a problem, but the $3 million one, that's a lot of savings. But in the same vein, that car could be pretty sweet. $3 million Bugatti, you gotta imagine that thing's gonna go like a bat out of hell, right? And then if I upgrade it on top of it, who knows, it could become my new default car. I mean, this one has obviously become my favorite, right? Oh yeah, I also wanted to check on how much a Ferrari F40 is, because that's my favorite car. I really want to get it, so maybe we'll check on that today. We'll go to Ferrari and have a browse. Notice I'm playing it safe quite a bit. You know, I managed to pass everybody with not even close to contact. Now I just gotta, again, my own use the fucking wall or something. Like a jackass. So yeah, I think that's my plan of action for the time being. I'm going to save up for that $1 million Bugatti. If anything else comes up that's on my wish list in the meantime, that's more affordable, like if that 172 grand Skyline comes up, I'm going to buy it, right? Like anything that comes up on my wish list in the used car dealership or the legendary car dealership, you know, I'm going to get them because they're limited time, right? They disappear and then you have to wait forever for them to come back up again. So anything I can possibly acquire in the meantime, I will. But for now, we'll just save up for the Bugatti. See how much the F40 is, because no matter how much it is, I'm going to save up for it. That'll be like one of my bucket list goals on this game, and then I'm going to put everything possible on that car that you can get. So yeah, after I get these two Bugattis, Ferrari time. Although if any good cars come up in the used car dealership that aren't on my wish list, like if I get another crack at like a classic 80s Lamborghini Countach or something like that, I might just pull the trigger on one of those, take the step back, right? Because I really need one of those in my collection, obviously. Should be okay on this one. Show me the money. Yeah, baby. I'm really hoping I get a good roulette ticket today. Like, it'd be nice just to start regularly getting some of those, like, not the top, like, piles of gold bar prizes, because I know I'm not going to get those, but the $500,000 ones, like that's a good boost, you know. Like you're satisfied with that one, right? That's like, oh, okay, $500,000. That's, I can go and buy a bunch of cars. Oops. Or I can continue saving for something that's a big ticket item, and that's a good chunk towards it, right? But all right. Clean, baby, clean. Murcielago's a pretty good cock block, eh? Shit, guys. Don't have to slow down that much. Probably why you never win. It's a race. cock. It's cock with a Q. Not sure if that's clean or not. We'll find out. That'll be a good indicator. If that's my only kind of gap during this race. No, I'll know. Okay, or even if you go fully on the grass, that's a faux pas. You know, I'm trying to whittle down what makes a clean race and what doesn't, right? So I know, like, oh, I want to pass this guy, but it's going to force me on the grass, so I'll just lay up and wait for my next opportunity, right? Oh yeah, and I've been watching one of the guys at work. I don't work with him because he's on the night shift. But, you know, we do cross paths every once in a while and whatever. But he, like, I always grew up loving wrestling, right? And he was the same way. He's got like an extensive library of wrestling DVDs, and so he brought a couple to work for me to watch. It was all about the Monday Night Wars, the battle between WCW and WWE back in the 90s and into the early 2000s, and just the whole way that all unfolded and gave rise to WWE's triumph and WCW's downfall and the whole Attitude Era, and just like I knew at the my buddies and I every Monday and then eventually Thursday night head to my one buddy's apartment, and we'd all bring drinks, Doritos and shit, and we'd watch wrestling religiously twice a week. And I knew at the time what I was watching was special, right? Like, it was insanity. The storylines, the talent, the personalities, the depth of their roster, the new things that they had brought that had been seen only in lesser kind of venues, like all the table, ladders, and chair matches. The women's element coming a lot more under the spotlight, and the cruiserweights and everything. Like, it's just, I knew what I was watching was special at the time, but I didn't realize how special, right? Like, I don't think there's going to be another era in wrestling to rival the Attitude Era and everything that went on. Some of the stuff they did, like, they wouldn't be able to get away with now, because everybody's so goddamn sensitive and can't say or do anything without the risk of being canceled, right? It's so stupid. And although I wish they would just say, fuck you, yeah, go ahead and try and cancel us, right? Fucking woke hippies, right? But it was so special, and just watching these DVDs, and I knew what I was watching at the time was special. But because there was no real, like, the internet and everything, it would have existed back then, but it wasn't what it is today, right? So you still didn't really know. Yes, okay, so I can go on the grass, I just can't hit a wall, I think. You knew what you were watching was special at the time, but you didn't realize everything that went on behind the scenes in this war between WCW and WWE, the chain of events, the wrestlers changing hands, everything that went into it was just insanity. And it was just amazing to kind of relive a lot of those moments again. I think I forget way more than I remember, because it was like, oh yeah, that guy, and this happened, holy shit, like, it was just ridiculous. And what's this one? Or was I getting smoked in that one? Yeah. Yeah, and then I got oh. I just want to try this and see. And so yeah, I went. We had this Rubbermaid bin under our bed that's been there for basically since we moved in, and I was trying to find space to put away some things so my closet wouldn't be so full and all that stuff. And I was like, I gotta get in there and get my wrestling shirts out, right? So I went in there. I got 3 wrestling shirts. One's just a white t-shirt with the SmackDown logo on it. One of them's the one I'm wearing right now is a Triple H t-shirt with his whoa, okay. I can't do this after racing with the purple Ferrari. Not even close. And then the other one is like a WrestleMania 18 t-shirt that I got at WrestleMania, which I got the Triple H one there as well. But yeah, when we went to Skydome, and I think it was 2002, it must have been, for the WrestleMania that I think was the biggest one up to that date, right? It was the oh, that's a hypercarb, I can use my... Perfect. Let's do this one. Something a little different. Yeah, it was the biggest one to date. Like I said, it set an attendance record, if I remember correctly, and oh, it was amazing to be there. We were pretty far back, but you could still see everything, right? And it was crazy. And the match I remember most was when The Rock took on Hogan. It was kind of like a passing of the torch sort of thing, right? You know what I mean? The old, kind of biggest guy from the 80s era to like arguably the biggest guy of that era, right? Like, it's hard to say who's actual biggest wrestler from the Attitude Era, but you gotta believe the 2 guys that would be in the conversation the most would be The Rock and Stone Cold. That would probably come down to between those 2 guys, right? Triple H would also be, I think, in the conversation, but holy shit, okay. Okay, this isn't gonna be fun. This one's a little tougher to get a rating on. So narrow. Even just passing guys is hard, right? Without just even clipping them a little bit, right? Yeah, so that's what I was doing the last number of months. They're like 4 disc sets. Each disc is pretty long, like, and he had 2 volumes of these. He's got more. He wrote me out a list, so I think when I trade one in, I'm going to request another. So they're all like either they focus on a certain event or whatever, or a certain wrestler. So it kind of made me go on eBay and look for wrestling games that focused on the Attitude Era, right? Like, I've got some from that were released actually during that time, right? Like, my favorite wrestling games of the more modern ones were SmackDown, and they released a second SmackDown 2 or whatever, which were both for the PS1, and they were amazing games. They had all those characters in them, you know, like and they were so much fun, but I kind of wanted a more, if available, like a more modern one with, you know, even better graphics and everything, right? The only thing I found was WWE 13, which in my household would go on the PS3. It had it had current wrestlers, of course, at the time. It had, you know, all the current stuff, but they have a story mode that's focused on the Attitude Era. I think they have like 35 wrestlers from that era, and you play through kind of like a story, and they have, you know, all these different cutscenes, movies that were filmed to kind of put the story together as you play through it. So it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to start that today. Because like after watching all these wrestling DVDs, I kind of wanted a game that captured that era, right? Outside of the ones I already have, but something a little more modern, right? Something on a more recent console than back on the PS1. That was the one at the time, right? So I'm pretty pumped about playing that game. Oh god. Oh god. Judging those turns properly. It's just a matter of familiarity, right? I run this track a bunch of times in a row. I'll go through it like butter, like I do with those other ones. That's possibly the best wrestling game of all time, though. On the Sega Genesis. So we're talking like, I don't know when this would have been, around 92, 93 maybe. And it's called WWF Royal Rumble. And the best mode on it is the Royal Rumble, like by far. It's just really cool graphics, really cool control system, and it's got all the wrestlers from the time, right? It's just such a fun game. But the Royal Rumble, like, it's just like, you know, I can't remember how many guys start in the ring if it's just the two at the start. So usually if you're we always played this game like with buddies and stuff, right? So two of you would start in the ring, so you'd lay out, you wouldn't fight each other, right? You'd wait for the computer guys to come in, so the countdown timer would start, and then somebody would run down and jump into the ring, so then the actual fight would begin, and then, you know, more and more guys with each countdown, until there's a whole bunch of guys in the ring, and you're just trying to, you know, the whole point of the Royal Rumble is you want to be the last man in the ring, right? So if you throw people out over the top rope and they're out, right? So it was just such a fun mode, and we used to play that game like crazy. It was just ridiculous. That's probably, if I had to, like, totally decide on my favorite wrestling game of all time, that's probably the one I would go with. The SmackDown games for PS1 are like a real, I don't know, I'd even consider it kind of even a tie between Royal Rumble and the first SmackDown game, you know, like, because those SmackDown games, they literally did have everything in them. Every wrestler, all the different match types, like foreign objects, all that shit, right? Like, it's just, they were so much fun. And the control scheme on that too, like all the different moves you can do and stuff, they really hit it out of the park on those games. I felt like they controlled really well, and everything was intuitive and it worked really well, right? I'd like to get back into watching wrestling, but whenever I have watched it recently, it's just, like, it's not the same. I think because I lived through the 80s with the early, like, with all the, you know, the Macho Man and the Hulk and Andre and King Kong Bundy, Big John Studd and Jake the Snake and Junkyard Dog, like, all those guys. That was, like, in the 80s, wrestling was huge, and me and my friends all loved it, you know, and and it was that was the second best era of wrestling, that 80s kind of time frame. It was just awesome. But the Attitude Era by far is the best. And after living through those two eras, especially the Attitude Era, and all the craziness that happened, like, just, it can't be duplicated, you know? And I know that there's probably a lot of great wrestlers right now, and they all do a really good job, but it's not the same, you know? So and I think, like, they kept talking about the Attitude Era was a byproduct of where the world was at that time, right? And everything that was going on in there, and so it was like an organic kind of evolution, right? Let's try this. You know, it was organic. It came about naturally because of everything, right? So you can't manufacture something like that. That happened organically, and it was fucking amazing. So you can't try to get that back, right? I liken it to the grunge explosion, grunge of the early 90s. That happened organically. You know, you had the world in a certain state at the time, and it gave rise to all these people that had all this talent. Just coming together in a perfect storm of creativity and just, you know, Nirvana dethroning Michael Jackson from the pop, number one in the pop, you know, countdown, you know what I mean? Like, whoever would have seen something like that coming, and but that happened organically, and it was a rolling juggernaut for a few years, right? That's not going to happen again if you try for that to happen again, right? Like, I don't think there's going to be another musical revolution like that. Just like I don't think there'll be another era in wrestling like the Attitude Era, because the world has become too safe. And I'm not talking too safe in terms of security. Now the world's probably more dangerous in that regard than it's ever been. But in terms of what you can and can't say, what you can and can't do, it's almost like there's inhibitors put on people, right? Like when they run NASCAR races and they put the you know, the restrictor plates on the cars so they can't go a certain speed, right? Like that's what social media and the woke hippies are doing with people, right? Restrictor plates are being put into people because, you know, if you say or do anything one person doesn't agree with, oh, you're an asshole and you should be tarred and feathered and, you know, and sent to Exile Island, right? Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't think there will be these magical eras of different arts and stuff like that. And I consider wrestling kind of an art form. Like, obviously it's wrestling's misunderstood. Like, it's got this stigma of being fake, you know. And it's like, I hear people say that, and I'm like, okay, let me go call up the Undertaker, and we'll all get together, find a ring, and then I'll have him choke slam you in the middle of the ring, and then we'll see afterwards how fake you think it is, right? Like, yeah, it's scripted to a certain degree, but the emotions behind it, the physicality behind it, are all too real, you know, and it doesn't get the respect it's due outside of the wrestling community and the fans who love it, right? So that's so I consider wrestling not only you know, a sport, a physical contest and a sport, but also an art form, right? Because I mean, sometimes you see the moves these guys are pulling off, and it's like, holy shit! Like, A, how do they do that? And B, how do they do that without like actually killing each other, right? Like, you see them flip from the top ropes, fucking wrap their legs around the guy, go down on their head onto the mat, and flip the guy. You know, like, I forget what that move's called, but it's like, it's unreal, you know. And people say, oh, it's fake. You know, fuck you. So, but yeah, I just think with the way the world's been censored anymore, you're not going to get these magical outbursts of creativity and magic. You know? And it's too bad, because I got to live through so many different eras of wonder and magic growing up as a kid. Like, I really feel as though I was born at the perfect time in the world, in the mid-'70s, you know. And like, what was the first big thing that came along as I was a kid? Literally the year after I was born, Star Wars came out, right? And things just kept on rolling, you know? AC/DC was fucking like brand new at that time. The 80s came along, and out came all these fucking amazing cartoons like G.I. Joe and Transformers, Voltron and shit like that. You know, wrestling was amazing. You know, hockey was always amazing. We don't even need to count that. And then in the early 90s, like I said, the Nirvana and that kind of invasion musically, that new shift in direction, that new scene was unbelievable. You know? And then movie making in the 90s raised things even higher. You know, and you got all these fantastic movies coming out. Not only like big budget shit like Star Wars and stuff, but all the comedies were ridiculous, you know, like Ace Ventura. When do you think you're ever going to see another Ace fucking Ventura, right? Like, never. You know, and then even the 90s cartoons, even though a lot of them were short-lived, they were unbelievable. Like, there's never going to be another Cadillacs and dinosaurs again. There should be, but there never will be, right? And Bots Master and stuff like that, like, unbelievable shit. And then late 90s Attitude Era in wrestling, like, just so many magical moments that I've gotten to witness, you know? The video game revolution, like, born in the mid-'70s, you know, the NES came out when I was like 9 or 10, like, what perfect timing, right? Like, and it's only continued to evolve and give us all these fantastic fantastic consoles and games to play, and comic books in the 80s were, you know, picking up steam, and then look at where they are now with all the storylines and the fantastic artwork you get, like, right? Like, just everything about the timing of when I was born was like perfect. And now I feel bad for the kids like James. He was born in 2007. And look at the music scene now. It's fucking garbage. It's garbage. Like, I hear bands on the radio like that people have all like that are really into nowadays, and I'm like this is considered good music? Like, this sounds like generic fucking shit. Like, it just sounds like just like the other great new band I heard 2 minutes ago. Right? Like, the fact that Imagine Dragons actually have people that like them makes me sad. know what I mean? And I mean, I don't hate the Arkells or anything, but people are so high on the Arkells. Like, they go berserk for them, and I listen to their music, and I'm just like, it comes on the radio, and I'm like, eh. It's like, it's not terrible, but it's not good. Like, I don't get it, you know? Like, it's just like I worry that, you know, James isn't going to get to have these magical moments in his life that I got so many of them, right? Like, it's just, it's sad, right? And I mean, I can show him everything that I saw, but it's not the same. Seeing it years after the fact is not the same as actually living through it and experiencing it, like, as it's happening, right? Because you don't know what you're getting at the time. You don't realize until after the fact, fully, just how magical it was when it's over, right? You know? Yeah, like I said, like something like the Arkells, like I don't dislike them, but I don't get why people like them so much. I don't find them that good. But bands like Imagine Dragons, it makes me angry that people like them enough that they are somehow like still making music and actually in demand for some reason, because they are fucking terrible. Terrible. Just like, why? Why has this been allowed to happen? Oh, fuck. It's awful. You know, when I talk about, like, people are being censored and stuff, like, it's like I don't mean people should be allowed to, like, just say whatever they want and, like be racist or sexist or whatever, but there's a certain amount of, like, you're not even allowed to joke about anything anymore. And, you know what I mean? Like everybody's so goddamn sensitive about everything that it's just like, oh, just stop, you know? You know, get a sense of humor, laugh at yourself, realize not everybody's out to fucking, you know, cause trouble. You know what I mean? Like, people are so stupid. Like, that's one other thing. I'm worried for the human race, because it seems like we should be getting smarter, like, as a whole. But I think we're going backwards. I see so much stupidity everyone. It's like, oh my god. Oh boy. Hopefully I'll be dead long before I find out how all this pans out, right? Can't seem to catch this guy, but I think I've run a clean race. I think so. So we'll take that one off the list, but we've got that other paper car. I don't know where that was. Alright, what time is it? Should we go to time trials? Oh, we should go to time trials, yep. But anyways, those are just my thoughts on a bunch of shit. Ugh. Oh. But doesn't the word woke just make you want to, like, punch something? Makes me want to rage. Full-on rage fit.
Ooh
look at that car. Oh no. Oh god. This was like a relief. 10 grand. Fuck. Well, that was worthless. Alright, well, it's time. Let's see how this baby does. I guess this should be the fastest, although it is kind of difficult to control. But I'm gonna guess we're gonna have our fastest time when this thing goes. Like it's almost like it's a time machine. To getting the best time here is just going to be like, how well can you stay on the track? It rivaled the Ferrari after it had to like stop. There's our 6. Look at 38 and then 26, 25. That got better till that last one. Okay, so yeah, 25 and then the 35. Easily the two best, and then it's a whole mess as we get into the 40s. The Viper has some good separation. And then even the Suzuki too by a couple seconds, and then once we get down into here, then they're all kind of in the same few seconds, right? That's 12. 12 times 6. That's 60. Whew. We've got 72. 72 laps is what that is. So, what, 28 left? So another 5. 5 sessions, and we should be getting that trophy for 100 laps of time trials. That'll be fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's our hour almost. I don't think there's anything left to do. If there's something really cheap and new in the used cars, I might do it. Something that costs like, what, 19 or 16? Doesn't really matter. Yeah, nothing new's come up. Nope. Okay. Well, that is it for now. Not sure when I'll be back, but soon enough, you know that.